Hello music lovers, welcome to the channel. Those of you who tune in regularly can usually expect to see me talking about a song, breaking down the techniques of a singer, or doing one of my cover versions. But I felt compelled to do something a little bit different tonight. Something a bit reactive, I suppose, because of something that has arisen on the YouTube musician scene you may or may not be aware of. But I thought I'd dive in and give my own 2 cents on the situation, on the debate that's emerged over the past week or so. And this is just a little opinion on things. I don't want to get involved, with this debate. But as both a vocal coach and someone who makes music-related content for YouTube, I felt the need to express my own thoughts on things, and there are some other reasons that I want to talk about this, and I'll get into that near the end. We'll keep it short, the video. So for those of you who don't know, the backstory is as follows. Ken Tamplin is a famous YouTube vocal coach. He's got over 1 million subscribers. He's been making videos about singers and singing and giving technique lessons and recordings of cover versions and things like that for about 15 years or so. And he's got, as I said, a huge following, especially in the sort of rock singer community. Wings of Pegasus is a very successful YouTube channel as well, run by a guy called Phil, who's a really great musician. He analyses recordings and songs. He gives tips on guitar and all sorts of music related stuff like that. And his speciality is his ability to dive into vocal recordings and look at things that have been tuned or altered, and he uses different music software plugins and things like that for that. Anyway, Phil from Wings of Pegasus released a video a couple of weeks ago now, maybe just under 2 weeks ago, where he'd been asked to analyse a recent live recording of Ken Tamplin, who'd uploaded a gig video that he'd performed in for the first time in, as far as I'm aware, his first gig for many years. And a lot of people had accused Ken of lip syncing, and they asked Phil to confirm it using his skills and his software plugins, as I mentioned before, to see if this was true. Now, I don't think at any point Phil from Wings of Pegasus wanted to slag off Ken Tamplin, or he didn't say he was a bad singer. He didn't. He looked at the evidence. I think the video he made was very respectful, but he did confirm, looking at the evidence, looking at the video, that the live recordings of Ken Tamplin's voice at the recent gig had in fact contained at many points the identical vocals from a recording that Ken made in the 1990s. Now, this isn't debatable. On a scientific point, there is no way in the world that any vocalist in history could sing something even 10 seconds apart that would be identical on a pitch graph. It's an impossibility. So there's really no coming back from it. Now, Ken's people appear to have deleted a lot of comments about this in his videos, and he didn't respond at first, but a few days ago, he made a little video that at first I thought was going to be apologetic and humble and with some sort of admittance of a little bit of cheating. But unfortunately, Ken decided to deny it. He gave some big spiel about people being out to get him because they were jealous of his channel and wanted more views for their own channels, and because of fake news. And I was just really sad to see that his approach was, in my opinion, from a place of ego rather than, as I said, being humble about it and just admitting defeat. He'd been caught. Now, when I began my vocal coaching career almost 20 years ago, 18 years ago, I think I've been teaching for about 18 years now, 17, 18 years, something like that. The first few years were definitely a lot of school days, and to be honest, they still are. You know, you never stop learning. But at the beginning, especially, you need experience, you know, to do anything in life. And all I had was experience of lots of singing. I'd been singing for many years at this point, in bands, on stage, in shows, in piano bars. So I'd done a lot of singing, and I'd had vocal coaches of my own when I was younger. But I wasn't a teacher at this point, and the only way to become a teacher is supposed to start to teach people, and that's what I did at that point in my career, wanting to become a full-time vocal coach. Now, like most people, I used the techniques and lessons that had been given to me from the people who taught me, coupled that with reading lots and lots and lots and lots of books at the time. And I sort of learned as I went along, I think, like a lot of folk do in many sort of vocations in life. But I definitely had a bit of imposter syndrome because of this. Years of, you know, or certainly the first couple of years anyway, of sort of, am I good enough? Do I know enough? Have I studied enough? And as a coach, you know, that's as a coach, not as a singer. My head was always quite big when it came to the singing part. But yeah, as a coach, I just wanted to make sure that I knew everything that I could, so that I wasn't ripping people off when they were paying me to teach them to sing. And I suppose what I was always trying to tell myself was, you know, or ask myself was, are the people who are coming to me to learn how to sing getting better? And the answer was almost always yes. So, and when it wasn't yes, it was usually because they weren't really doing much of the practicing in between sessions. So yeah, that was what I kind of told myself, to make myself feel good about it. But I also, yeah, as I said, imposter syndrome. I also just constantly made sure that if I had an issue with a student that I didn't know how to fix, or I was trying to fix with some things that I had in my weaponry, and they weren't working, then I would go looking for another solution. How can I help this singer get to this place that they want to get to? And so, yeah, lots of books, lots of different things, and lots of courses like that, things like that. And of course, yeah, I jumped onto YouTube, and followed some other famous vocal coaches. To be honest, these people were famous. I said famous vocal coaches. They were famous on YouTube. They weren't necessarily successful in that they had coached famous singers. I suppose there's a bit of hindsight in there. But anyway, they had some great information and shiny videos, and I took from those videos what made sense to me and discarded the ones that didn't. And that forged some of my path into becoming a better vocal coach. And one of the people, of course, who I looked up to at the beginning was Ken Tamplin. You know, his voice isn't my favourite voice, you know, tonally, but he's got great range, power, really good at rock vocals, big screamy rock vocals. He's great at that, and he was doing so well on YouTube. Lots of subscribers, lots of videos, lots of comments, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. That's really inspirational. I'd love to be in that position myself. And yeah, I actually contacted him for a couple of lessons at the time. We met on Skype. It was really cool. He seemed like a nice guy. I asked him some questions about things, and he answered, you know, just in his own way, with his own approach. And then I booked in with another few coaches at that time who were YouTube famous. You know, to increase my own knowledge, I bought Ken Tamplin's course. I bought Seth Riggs' speech level singing course. I bought Robert Lunty's Pillars of Singing, whatever it was called, course. I bought the Brett Manning Singing Success course, and I studied all of them. I just, you know, I took some of the useful information from them, and I moved on from that. And yeah, where am I going with this? What am I trying to say? I mean, I thought Ken's stuff was really good. It was definitely one of the better courses that I studied at that time when I looked through all the stuff. Is the thing that I liked about Ken, and I suppose if I'm allowed to say about myself as well as a coach, is that when I coach people, I can do the things that I'm asking people to do or telling them that there's a possibility of them doing, I can show them how to do it. A lot of coaches don't do a lot of singing, and Ken is another coach who does a lot of singing, and he used to always say that, you know, the proof's in the singing, and he can sing. And, you know, I always said you wouldn't go to an out of shape personal trainer, so why would you go to a vocal coach that doesn't show you the different techniques and things that you're trying to learn? So from that point of view, Ken's was a great course. He was one of the only coaches, as I say, that, you know, showed himself doing cover versions, and he sounded really good doing those cover versions. And I think that's important. So it is really disappointing from Ken, and I really wish he would just come clean and say, look, I had a cold and we'd planned this gig and I mimed some of the higher notes because I just wanted it to be perfect, you know, or I hadn't done a live gig in many years and I became so obsessed with sounding perfect that I cheated a little bit on some of the lines, and, you know, that would have been, I think, a nice humble response. But he's just outright denied it, and all of his little keyboard warrior followers are now leaving comments on Phil from Wings of Pegasus page, making it like he's a liar, which isn't fair either, because I said at the beginning, all he did was respond to a request by one of his followers to analyse a Ken Tamplin live video, which he did, I think, quite respectfully. I don't think at any point did I hear Phil in the video saying that he thought Ken was a bad singer or that he was ripping people off. None of that stuff at all. So, yeah, it's disappointing. I think it's the main takeaway from this, and I've seen a few people, you know, talking about this on YouTube today, which is why I wanted to talk about it as well, from somebody who did work with Ken a couple of times, and I just wanted to kind of jump in and say I think he's a good singer. I think it would be sad for people to take away from this that, you know, he's not a good coach and he's not a good singer and all this type of stuff, because I don't think that's true. It's just a little bit disingenuous. And I think, you know, listen, have I tuned my vocals on recordings before? Absolutely. Of course, I'm a perfectionist. So when I record a vocal and it's a really good take and I've captured the emotion of the vocal and I'm mostly happy with the take, and then I hear a couple of little pitchy notes where I'm a little bit sharp or a little bit flat, am I going to redo the whole take, or am I going to just fix a couple of notes? Of course I'm just going to fix them. Everyone you hear on the radio does it. So it's become very acceptable. You're in some respects these days doing yourself a disservice if you don't, you know, pitch or tune vocals a little bit. Now, I'm not saying pitch and tune things that are like way off, but if you're way off, then you shouldn't really be claiming to be a great singer in the first place. And you know, I think everybody wants to sound perfect these days, and when plugins and technology allows you to become perfect, then a lot of people take that approach. However, I can absolutely sing live, and I do so every single week. I play around 100 gigs a year, some of them for 4 hours at a time. Sometimes I play for 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours during the day, doing a performance, and then I'll play with my band at night, doing another 3 or 4 hours at night. So I can hold my hands up with complete honesty and say, yeah, even if I've tuned some recordings at times, I can sing live in tune, or mostly in tune, I'd like to think, for many hours and live, and there'll be thousands of people who can vouch for that, who have seen me over the years. But I just, yeah, from a recording point of view, I can see why people would do it, because, you know, you do a take, as I say, you get a take that you're happy with, you add a little bit of compression, you added some reverb, and you tune a few sharp and flat notes, and you go, wow, that was a great take, I'm really happy with my performance. I don't really see a problem with that. Unless you're a terrible singer and you're using tuning software to make you sound good, then that, of course, is a completely different argument, and that opens up a can of worms into the issues that technology has brought into arts and the music industry, and that's a different video. That's a different video. But the thing that really frustrates me, and I'll just conclude, is I think Ken Tamplin can really sing. You know, I don't know if he can sing perfectly for 3-4 hours anymore. Maybe he's lost a little bit of range over the years. I don't know. But I've heard him sing. I've heard him sing live. He can sing. He can sing. He's got a great range. A great kind of rock voice. Not everybody's cup of tea, but he can do all the big screams. He can do all the stuff. And I think he's helped a lot of people improve their singing, which is awesome. That's what us vocal coaches want to do every day. That's what I want to do every day when people come to me to the studio and here. People come in and ask me to help them with their voices, their singing, their range, their performance in general. And obviously that's what I try to do for them. And I think Ken has done that for people over the years. I don't think it would be fair to suggest he's not. So the fiasco for me is just really disingenuous from a guy who's always quite openly slagged other folk off. He has, it's just sad to see him cheating, because that is what it is. He didn't need to do it. As I said, I believe he's a good singer. And there is no doubt that Phil's analysis on Wings of Pegasus is correct. It's just, as I said, it's an impossibility that those two vocals would match up in sync. I think they're within thousandths of a second. It's an impossibility. And so, yeah, there's just maybe 2 cents on it, 10 pence, €0.50, whatever you want to call it. I just wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about it, because it's as I said, it's the music YouTube world, which I'm part of in a very small way compared to these guys, but and I'm also a vocal coach, so I just felt like I wanted to talk about it. But anyway, they were my thoughts on it. Next week I'll be back with a story about a famous song, a vocal analysis of a famous singer, and a cover version as usual. But for now, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you like the content, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, the share button if you want to share it with somebody, and leave a comment if you've got something to say about the fiasco or about anything, or if you want to get in touch for voice lessons, coaching, I'll try and find you a slot if you leave a wee comment in the comment section. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.